This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injury is an additional coverage and subject to policy terms. This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This podcast contains adult themes and language, and some of the things that we discuss may be disturbing to some listeners. In this podcast, we discuss sexual assault, torture, race, and murder. Listener discretion is advised. Please take care of yourself.
And welcome to Fruit Loops. Buiti binafi and bienvenidos, bitches. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
Fruit Loops is a podcast about true crimes committed by people of color and those who are othered and the victims, because there are, believe it or not, systems, institutions, and patterns in society that gatekeep this information. But we're going to give it to you straight, no chaser. The truth is, we're all capable of doing very shitty stuff.
Yep.
And all victims deserve to have their stories told. These crimes rarely get any public attention because, in the simplest of terms, the news is racist. Allegedly.
And we are Wendy and Beth. She's Wendy, a Black Latinx woman, and I'm Beth, and I just happen to be white.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's just a little piece of who we are.
Oh, yes.
But who we are not is journalists, investigators, or psychologists. We're just a couple of gals interested in true crime. Also, the opinions expressed in this podcast are just that, our opinions.
So, who are we talking about today, Fred?
Well, today we're talking about Cynthia Alvarez. This is our episode 245. And Cynthia Alvarez was a young girl from Compton, California, who, along with her boyfriend, plotted and murdered both her mother and her stepfather in 2011 when she was just 15 years old.
15?
Yeah.
So, before we get into it, how you doing?
I'm so tired.
Yeah.
My grandson has been on fall break for the past week and a half. They get 2 weeks off. And
2 full weeks?
Yeah, because it's like a year-round school.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, it's been crazy.
Woo! We had 2 days of fall break this week.
Just 2?
And today was the last one. And it was like,
okay.
Woo! We don't have to find stuff for these little people to do.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
But fall break is a trip because it like sneaks up on you like, what? Didn't we just start school a week ago?
Yeah.
But I know the kids love it. So anyway.
Yeah. And my daughter's a teacher, so she loves it too.
Yes. Teachers. Shout out to all the teachers. Also, thoughts and prayers to everyone who has been harmed by the hurricanes back to back. Milton and Helene. Recovery is still underway. Lots of people have lost their lives, and the Southeast just can't seem to catch a break.
Yeah, I have family in Asheville, and they don't have water.
Still,
yeah. They said it's going to be a while yet before they get water.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So if you can go to Googleisha and look up ways that you can help, and if there are ways you're comfortable with and organizations you're comfortable with, I say help any way that you can. Mother Nature, she wins every time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's undefeated.
Yeah, don't fuck with Mother Nature.
No, ma'am. With that said, let's get into some listener letters.
hello, angels. Thank you.
What's in that bag, Beth?
Well, I wanted to say thanks to Diamond for pointing out a typo in an episode that I posted.
Yes.
I put 2921 instead of 2021. So that
The
episode
future.
came from the future, yeah. But yeah, I really appreciate any corrections so I can fix it.
Yeah, we all love a good, loving, kind correction. So we can do better in the future.
Diamond
Amen.
was very loving and kind about it. So.
Absolutely. So Diamond, Hip Hop Air Horns, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And, wait a minute. We got a voice mail.
All right.
Here goes.
Okay.
Hi, Wendy and Beth. My name is Birdie. I listen to you all religiously, almost like every morning when I'm walking my kid to school, when I'm at work. I'm a nurse. Anyway, I just want you guys to know, Wendy especially, I literally wait to say, allegedly, with you every morning that I listen after you call the news racist. Because the news is racist, and we don't have to allege that. But
thank you.
You know, protect yourself, girl. Allegedly. Woo. I love it. Have a good day, guys.
Oh my
thanks,
God,
Birdie.
Birdie. Hip Hop Air Horns to you.
And you're doing the Lord's work.
Yes, as a nurse, shout out to all the nurses and Teachers America, where we pay people what they deserve. Actually, we don't, but we wish that they did, and we're so grateful for your work. And thank you.
Yeah.
You've been rocking with us for a while. We appreciate you reaching out and leaving us a voicemail. Just thank you for being you.
Yeah, thanks.
So we appreciate you both, Diamond and Birdie.
And you know what? If you guys have any questions or comments, please send them to fruitloopspod@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 602-935-6294. And we may feature it on a future episode. But if you don't want us to, just let us know and we won't.
Also, again, thank you to all of our fruities listening and all of our Patreons and message senders and
everybody,
website commenters, everybody. We appreciate all of it. We see it all, and we are so grateful. So now,
thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into the story when we come back.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place. For changes big and small. Loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The truth about the Haditha massacre has been covered up, but not anymore.
I know you know what happened.
They went into houses and killed women and children.
What are you thinking?
What a mess.
U.S. Marines murdered innocent civilians in cold blood.
And at the center of it all
is 25-year-old Sergeant Frank Wuderick.
And me. Murder in House 2. A new podcast from Crowd Network.
Okay, so we're back. Remind us, Beth, who is our subject today?
Our subject today is Cynthia Alvarez, a 15-year-old girl who, along with her 16-year-old boyfriend, murdered her mother and stepfather in 2011.
That's a lot there in that one sentence that you read.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of unpacking to do. Let's start with Love and Light, where we say rest in power to the victims whose lives were cut short, and love and light to their loved ones and communities left in the wake of this crime.
Yeah.
The victims, there are two of them, are Gloria Villalta, who was 58, and Jose Lara, who was 51. So now we are going to get into the setting. Take us there, Beth.
Well, the setting is Compton, California, which is located in nearly the exact geographical center of Los Angeles County. The city of Compton is one of the oldest cities in the county and the 8th to incorporate. The Tongva people, also known as the Gabrielino Tongva tribe, were the original settlers of the area that is now Los Angeles County.
The Spanish Empire colonized the area when the Viceroy of New Spain commissioned Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo to explore the Pacific Ocean in 1542 and 1543. Then in 1767, the home became part of the province of the Californias.
In 1867, the territory was settled by a band of 30 families who were led to the area by Griffith Dickinson Compton. These families had wagon trained south from Stockton, California. Compton developed as a farming village on 4,600 acres of land that had originally been part of the Rancho San Pedro, a 1784 Spanish land grant.
Originally Gibsonville, then Comptonville, the settlement became known as Compton in 1869. The city of Compton was officially incorporated on May 11, 1888, with a population of 500 people.
From the 1920s through the 1940s, the Compton area was home to a sizable Japanese-American population, a large proportion of whom were farmers. But shortly after President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066 in February of 1942, Compton residents of Japanese descent were forcibly removed from their homes and interned for the duration of World War II. It's a horrible part of our history, which Trump wants to repeat.
Bring back somehow?
Yeah.
No, sir, we're not going back. As you can see from the setting, it wasn't great for everybody.
No.
During the 1950s and 1960s, after the Supreme Court declared all racially exclusive housing covenants unconstitutional, the first black families moved to the area, partially due to its proximity to Watts, where there already was an established black population. Middle-class black families began moving into the area in larger numbers, mostly on the west side. And Compton used to be all white. And we met an old white guy today who was from Compton.
Oh, really?
He was like in his 70s or 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was there for the all-white part.
Wow.
Anyway, I didn't ask him about it. I thought it would be inappropriate.
Compton grew quickly. The eastern side of the city was predominantly white, like Wendy just said, until the 1970s. But by the early 1970s, the city had one of the largest black populations in the country at over 65%.
In 1969, voters elected Douglas Gallardo, the city's first black mayor. 4 years later, in 1973, Doris A. Davis defeated Gallardo's bid for re-election to become the first female black mayor of a metropolitan American city.
Damn, that's nice.
Yeah.
For many years, Compton was a much sought-after suburb for the black middle class of Los Angeles. But due to white flight and a steady erosion of Compton's tax base, something that was already sparse due to limited commercial properties, Compton went into a gradual decline.
Black upper-middle-class families also left the area for other more desirable neighborhoods. Following the Watts riots in 1965, crime in Compton rose sharply. Although the city was largely exempt from the destruction of the 1965 riot, it prompted middle-class residents to flee over the next few years. In 1969, it had the largest crime rate in the state of California.
Compton's violent reputation reached the national spotlight in the late 1980s, with the rise of local gangsta rap groups like Compton's Most Wanted and NWA. NWA released the album Straight Outta Compton in 1988.
Straight Outta Compton, a crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube. Anyway, so the city became notorious for gang violence, primarily by the Bloods and the Crips. Now, we have to remember that gangs were created in neighborhoods like this at first to protect the neighborhood.
Right.
But the rivalry grew amongst the groups that were...
The different groups, yeah.
Yes, the different groups. So this violence was primarily between the Bloods and the Crips, and then with racial conflicts between Black and Latinx people, which... Two of the colonizer guys, they got us out here fighting for crumbs against each other when we really should be fighting the guys at the tippy top.
Yeah.
By the year 2000, the population of Compton had become majority Latinx at 57%. The Black population was at 40% and the white population at 1%. Where
That's
have you
crazy.
seen that?
Wow.
Yeah.
In 2001, Compton, a city of 10 square miles and roughly 96,000 residents, disbanded its police force and contracted with the sheriff's department for 75 full-time deputies. The city could not afford to pay for any more than that.
So crime dropped, and the LA County Sheriff is a topic for a whole nother episode with the gang violence within the ranks of the LA County Sheriff and corruption. But crime dropped in nearby areas patrolled by the LAPD. Los Angeles Police Chief William J. Bratton said in a meeting that he believed his department's success in reducing crime in South Los Angeles could have had a role in violent gangs concentrating in Compton. Quote, "We're pushing it their way," unquote. He makes it sound like it was totally by accident.
Yeah, whoops.
Whoopsies. Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I do apologize for any inconvenience.
Do you think we're dumb? Yeah, like, what?
Compton's murder rate skyrocketed in the early 2000s, and 2005 was the city's deadliest year on record. Mistrust of police and a fear of retaliation also hampered law enforcement efforts. Witnesses were often not willing to come forward with information about crimes, which understandably so.
100%.
Yeah.
So since then, homicide rates have decreased. They have all over the country. Compton today is a residential suburb and market center surrounded by diversified industries. The Latinx population has risen to 71%. The Black population is about 25%, and the white population is less than 1%.
Wow, that's nuts.
That is interesting.
That is nuts.
Where are they going to practice hot yoga?
Who is that one white person that lives in Compton?
How are they going to get their pomegranate smoothies? I don't know. Anyway, now let's get into the early life. Go ahead, Beth.
Cynthia Alvarez grew up in a mobile home in Compton with her mother, Gloria Villalta, and Gloria's common-law husband, Jose Lara, and her sister, Diana Villalta, who was about 10 years older than Cynthia. The two sisters had different fathers.
Cynthia's father, who was from Honduras, had been deported when she was just a little girl. About a year later, Jose moved in with the family. Jose had emigrated to the U.S. from Mexico, and he was the breadwinner for the entire family.
He worked in construction and had a strong work ethic, so he also took on extra jobs to make ends meet. Gloria took care of the home and the girls.
Cynthia had been described as quiet, nice, polite, and shy. She suffered from learning disabilities and was enrolled in special education classes at her school. And according to a later exam, she performed well below average in verbal reasoning, but her perceptual reasoning and overall IQ scores were in the average range. And I will say that I don't know if I imagine was at schools that were super under-resourced, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe she didn't have a learning disability. Maybe it was just a way for them to be like, well, we don't have the resources to teach you, and we're just going to put this label on you to get you through the education system. That's just a theory I have.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hard to say.
Yeah.
So later, Rorschach and personality tests indicated that Alvarez had suffered child abuse, was depressed, and viewed herself as damaged. According to Cynthia, her mother regularly beat her for the slightest infractions, yelled at her, and rarely let her be with her friends.
Cynthia claimed that she was expected to clean the house, do the cooking, and take care of her mother. She said that Gloria often berated her and beat her with a studded belt, or anything else she could find. It has been reported that child welfare authorities investigated a report that Villalta had lit a piece of paper and held it to her daughter's nose, but no action was taken.
Cynthia later testified that her stepfather, Jose Lara, touched her where she, quote, shouldn't be touched, unquote, on more than 30 occasions. She said she told her sister Diana about the abuse, but they did not report it.
According to Cynthia, in 2008, Jose Lara sodomized her in their kitchen while the rest of the family was away. Cynthia was terrified, but eventually told her sister, and the two went to law enforcement. The older girl also told authorities about the prior molestations and reported that Jose had also propositioned her.
Law enforcement officials went to the family home to arrest Jose, but Gloria tipped him off in advance. Cynthia later recanted, telling child welfare workers that she had not been victimized. But then later, Cynthia claimed that Gloria told her to recant her allegation, and she did.
That whole series of events is, it's just really interesting.
Yeah.
Later, her defense attorney said that Cynthia tried unsuccessfully to get help and at times attempted suicide using pills and cutting herself. She also tried to run away and on one occasion was tied up with electrical cords by her mother and her stepfather.
Cynthia also admitted to stealing money and jewelry from her mother, saying, quote, "I was mad at her. She cared more about money, how to gain more money instead of loving me as a daughter," unquote.
By 2010, Diana had moved out of her home to live on her own. That left teenage Cynthia the only child at home. According to a friend of Cynthia's, she was kind of spoiled. Gloria and Jose liked to take her shopping, and they made sure that she had almost everything that she wanted. She had an iPad Touch, new clothes, and her hair was always done.
Yeah, the friend, it was on one of those oxygen shows.
Snapped, I think it was.
Yeah. Her friend was saying how she was kind of jealous of Cynthia because she had everything. What little money they had left over went to Gloria's medical bills. Gloria had diabetes. She was partially blind and she used a walker. A friend of Cynthia's described Gloria as nice and said she would sometimes bring cookies to school.
In 2010, while attending Dominguez High School, Cynthia met Giovanni "Johnny" Gallardo. Gallardo also had learning disabilities and was enrolled in the school's special education program.
At the age of 13, Johnny was diagnosed as having cognitive disabilities, and a later examination determined that he had an IQ of 57. An IQ score below 70 is considered an intellectual disability. Gallardo complained of peers bullying him.
That is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Cynthia would later testify that, quote, "Johnny treated me nice and gave me the love my parents never gave me," unquote. However, she said that Gallardo eventually became domineering and ultimately abusive towards her. She said he physically abused her, drugged her, and threatened her with knives and guns.
Dr. Nancy Kaiser-Boyd, a forensic psychologist, later interviewed Cynthia and reviewed school records, police reports, and the records of social service agencies pertaining to Cynthia Alvarez. Dr. Kaiser-Boyd explained that abused children often feel worthless, helpless, and vulnerable, which can lead to domination and re-victimization by new abusers.
I was going to have a whole hot take, but Dr. Nancy Kaiser-Boyd said it all for us.
She got it, yeah.
Yeah. In 2011, the family threw Cynthia a quinceañera, which they had saved a lot of money for. Quinceañera is sometimes more extravagant than even a wedding.
Yeah.
And a quinceañera is a celebration of a girl's 15th birthday. That is a coming-of-age tradition in Latin American cultures.
Cynthia claimed that at her quinceañera party, she was physically and verbally abused by her mother, forced to dance with her rapist, which is Jose Lara. And when Johnny showed up, he got drunk and he and Jose got into a fight. So it sounds like it did not go that well.
It did not. Also, I mean, Johnny is in high school. Like, what's he doing? Showed up getting wasted and fighting
at a
the stepdad. Yeah, the things that she says that he did to her, like, are quite alarming for a young man.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're true.
I don't either. I'm just saying that's a lot.
It is a lot.
If it is, if it's not, it's still a lot.
Yeah, I really don't know, but we'll get into it.
Okay, so now let's get into the timeline. So in early October 2011, the tension between Gallardo and Alvarez's mother and stepfather escalated. Gloria and Jose did not like 16-year-old Johnny Gallardo. Gloria had called the police on him and Jose had threatened him.
They also spoke to Gallardo's mother in an attempt to separate the two, but their efforts to discourage the romance backfired. Whenever they tried to restrict the two teenagers from seeing each other, they would run away together.
Yeah. Okay, I don't have teenagers yet, but this is what teenagers do. You apply pressure and they retreat or rebel.
Yeah.
Anyway, then Alvarez told her boyfriend that she had been raped by Jose Lara. He said they should kill him. So she shares this very vulnerable piece of information, and his solution is, let's kill him.
Yeah.
When Gloria told Alvarez to break up with Gallardo, they started talking about killing her, too. Alvarez later said that she, quote, liked the idea of killing them, but at the same time, she didn't, unquote. You know, like she was like kind of cool with it,
I want to do it, but I kind of don't.
Yeah. But in a teenager's mind, I totally get that is like not dissimilar to how it might have played out in their young brains.
Yeah, I remember when I was a teenager being really angry with my parents for some reason and wanting them to be dead. You know, I did not like want to kill them, but I was just like, I wish they would just die. You know?
Yeah, no, and I think as a young person, like, you don't really understand the magnitude of what death is.
Nope.
So it seems like it's a solution. I mean, it makes sense why I think a young person would think that. I know I thought it too. So
yeah, but then later on, you're like, oh,
like,
wow.
Why did I ever think that? Oh my God, what was wrong with me?
From DNA testing to the Dixie Mafia, Crime Capsule brings you new stories of true crime in American history. I'm your host, Benjamin Morris. Join us for exclusive interviews with authors from Arcadia Publishing, writing the hottest books on the most chilling stories of our country's past. You can find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts or on evergreenpodcasts.com. Crime Capsule. History so interesting, it's criminal.
This December, Christmas gets creepy with the Empty Coffin Podcast. This is host Greg Hansberry, and we are unwrapping the dark side of the holidays. This month, we revisit the haunting tragedy of a rock legend's final performance.
The band was on. They had just started their opening song. The killer walks across the stage, gun drawn.
We revive the forgotten tradition of telling ghost stories for Christmas.
There's this miserable, sour old man who spends all the time on his own in the graveyard, and the goblins take him.
And we sink our teeth into Nosferatu lore.
This story cropped up that the actor who played Nosferatu was so convincing that he was an actual vampire.
The Empty Coffin Podcast is part of the Evergreen Network. Subscribe on your favorite app and have yourself a scary little Christmas.
On the afternoon of October 12th, Gallardo showed up at Alvarez's mobile home with a murder kit that included a baseball bat, a mask, and rubbing alcohol.
Oh!
The 58-year-old Gloria was at home preparing dinner. As Gallardo waited for the perfect moment to strike, he and Alvarez communicated through hand gestures and notes written in a spiral notebook.
A murder kit is crazy.
Yeah.
So Alvarez claimed that when Gallardo attacked her mother, she went outside. She wasn't there. When she heard her mother shout her name and Gallardo call for her, she stepped back inside and found her dead on the floor.
They then dragged Gloria's body into the bedroom, and Gallardo bound her body with tape, taking a gold bracelet from her arm. Afterward, they watched TV and waited for Jose to come home from work. Then when he got there, the teens beat the man with a baseball bat, then stabbed him 11 times.
So there were hours in between the murder when they could have maybe this is a bad idea.
Such a good idea.
Maybe we should call somebody, or, this isn't right. I don't know. But it sounds like it didn't occur to them while they were watching their program, and horrifically, violently took the life of Jose.
Yeah.
So that night, Alvarez and Gallardo dragged the bodies into Gloria's Jeep. They drove to a vacant lot about 4 blocks away, dug a hole, then dragged Jose's body into it and covered it with dirt. They could not fit Gloria's body into the same hole. So they left her body in the back of the car and drove home.
And they just left her body there in the back of the car.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Youth, huh?
I think they just didn't know what to do,
Yeah.
Alvarez and Gallardo stripped Jose's truck of some parts, sold the parts, and then left the truck at a Home Depot. Gallardo threw the baseball bat into a yard and threw the knife in a trash can. They also traded in Gloria's jewelry for cash.
Then they began planning a Halloween party after all of this. A Halloween party. Cynthia created invitations, y'all, which she handed out to people at school, in person.
Yeah.
After all of this.
Yeah.
She and Gallardo also went shopping for food and party supplies, with her dead mother's body still in the back of that Jeep.
Yeah, so they were just driving around with a body in the back.
Wow.
Yeah. At a Party City store, they bought glow sticks, flashing skull lights, and knee-high stockings for a costume.
Wow.
They also went to a dollar store to buy soda and chips, and another store to buy beer. Gallardo put up mini bulb lights on the Compton trailer home in preparation for the Halloween party.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
All those places are the perfect places to go and stock up for a Halloween party. But in the context of a murder scene,
and a body in the back of the car.
And a body in the back of the truck, I'm not feeling the Halloween cheer. So sometime later, they buried Gloria's body in the yard of an abandoned house. Then they drove Gloria's Jeep to a nearby street and abandoned it. As they walked away, they threw the keys over a fence into the backyard of a residence. So now let's get into the investigation and the arrest. What the what, Beth?
On Friday, October 14th, 2011, Jose's employer, Blanca Serrano, became concerned because Jose had failed to call regarding the weekend work schedule. Jose worked for her doing deliveries on the weekends, and he was always very dependable.
On October 15th, a female body was discovered by a jogger partially buried in the yard of an abandoned house in Norwalk, her pedicured toes sticking out from the ground. The woman's face was covered with a towel secured by duct tape.
Her legs were bound above the ankles with duct tape, and her wrists were bound by a bungee cord and masking tape. So this binding is kind of crazy, too. Just like they just grabbed whatever was laying around or something. Like they just did not know what they were doing.
Yeah, just because you have a murder kit does not mean you are fully prepared to do
the murder. Yeah. Nearby, deputies found a pair of gardening gloves. The body was in a state of severe decomposition, but an autopsy revealed signs of strangulation and blunt force trauma. The body was eventually identified as Gloria Villalta, 58.
A male body was also found in a lot near Jordan High School in Long Beach. He had been handcuffed and his corpse covered with a blanket. He was later identified as Jose Lara, 51 years old.
On Monday, October 17th, after not hearing from Jose all weekend, Blanca drove to his home. When no one answered the door, Blanca called Gloria's oldest daughter, Diana Villalta, but Diana didn't know where her mother or Jose were.
Blanca also spoke to the neighbors. One neighbor told Blanca that he had seen Alvarez throwing family photos, clothes, and tools into the garbage. When he asked Alvarez what she was doing, she claimed to be helping her mother by cleaning up while she was in the hospital, and that Jose was with her.
Another neighbor told Blanca that he had seen Jose's truck behind a Home Depot, and when Blanca found the truck at a nearby Home Depot with the windows open, she called the police.
On Tuesday, October 18th, a Los Angeles County deputy sheriff met Diana at Gloria and Jose's home for a welfare check. The house looked like it had been ransacked, although there was no sign of forced entry. Clothes were strewn about, and the home smelled of rotting food. Neighbors reported that they had not seen Gloria or Jose for several days.
So this house, it was a mess if you saw the pictures.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
Yeah, and they were planning on having a Halloween, but these kids had no idea what... They were planning a Halloween party, and they had just trashed the entire house.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. A lot of it doesn't make much sense, but then if you think, oh, these are teenagers.
Teenagers, yeah.
You know, but they
teenagers
did
with learning disabilities.
Right, and they did, I'm without words. This is a lot.
It is. So the deputy found a notebook in the living room with different phrases written on separate pages in handwriting large enough to be visible across a room, such as, quote, "I am too scared. I cannot do it. Do you think you can kill her in bed?
Huh?
What about if she going to her bed, can you kill her? She is setting down, and you do it," unquote.
Wow. I mean, a smoking gun.
Yeah. Yeah, so
a smoking gun that's not a gun.
They were writing to each other in this notebook.
Yeah, and they left it there. They left it out.
They just left it there, yeah.
For all to see. It's kind of like the reverse of Scooby-Doo. would have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for you note writing kids,
If it hadn't been for me and writing notes and leaving the notebook.
Exactly. So you catch my drift. On October 19th, Gallardo's mother brought her son and his girlfriend to the Compton Sheriff's Station. Sheriff's deputies put the two in separate rooms and interviewed them.
Alvarez had first told the deputies that on the preceding Wednesday, October 12th, Jose told her that Gloria went to the hospital for eye surgery and did not want any visitors. On the following Saturday or Sunday, Jose pulled a gun on Alvarez and Gallardo and forced them to throw out Gloria's possessions, including her clothes and family photographs.
She claimed that she last saw Jose on Monday. She told the deputies that she was worried about her mother, was afraid that Jose had done something to her, and she wanted to find out what happened to her.
After the deputies confronted her with the notebook found at her home, Alvarez admitted that the notebook was hers, and then she told deputies that Gallardo had murdered her mother and stepfather.
Gallardo was also interviewed. He began by telling investigators that he was in special education classes and could not read or write English. Muttering and often speaking garbled sentences, he at first told the story about Gloria being hospitalized and Jose having a gun and threatening him.
A deputy went ahead and interrupted Gallardo and told him, you know what, we heard the same story from Alvarez. But then they got the real story, and the deputies had found the spot where Gallardo had buried Jose. Gallardo then said, oh, damn.
Oh, wow.
Oh, damn. And then admitted that he had killed Gloria and Jose.
He told deputies that he was angry at them because Jose had raped Alvarez, disrespected Gallardo's family, threatened him, and called the cops on him. Gloria had yelled at Gallardo's father and treated Alvarez poorly. So Gallardo, quote, got revenge and killed them both, unquote.
He said that he and Alvarez had been talking about killing Gloria and Jose for a couple of weeks. On the day of the murders, Gallardo arrived at Alvarez's home at about 4:30 in the afternoon. He brought a backpack containing a bottle of rubbing alcohol, a towel, an aluminum baseball bat, and a Halloween mask. All the things you need.
All the materials. Now let's move on to the instructions. So you have to put these things together and then get away with it, which is impossible. You need to get your money back. So Gloria was cleaning and cooking. When Gloria went to the restroom, Alvarez told him, go, quick. Gallardo soaked the towel with rubbing alcohol, walked up behind Gloria, and put the towel over her mouth. Gloria fell to the ground, and Gallardo choked her with his hands until she was dead.
So I think he thought that rubbing alcohol was like
chloroform.
Chloroform, yeah. But
yeah.
It's not. She probably just fell to the ground because she was like, holy shit, what is this?
What is this toxic fume smell?
Right.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, oh, I thought you could only do that with chloroform.
You can.
But you can.
You can only do that with chloroform. Maybe other things too, but not rubbing alcohol.
I was, that scene in Ace Ventura where he's trying to find the football player who has the ring and he's like stalking all these athletes and jumping on them and chloroforming them on like the track field and the parking lot. That's what
you were thinking about.
Yeah, any chloroform like substance, but it's only chloroform that can do it. So anyway, where do you buy it from? Just kidding.
Gallardo then bound Gloria's arms and legs with duct tape, and he and Alvarez dragged Gloria's body to a bedroom. At some point, Gallardo taped the alcohol-soaked towel to Villalta's face and took a gold bracelet from her arm. The two then ransacked the house, looking for Alvarez's iPod Touch, which Gloria had taken from Alvarez. So she probably got in trouble. She took her iPod Touch, and so the kids were looking for it.
So while Alvarez and Gallardo waited for Jose to come home, they watched television and talked. When Jose got home, Gallardo was waiting in his room with a knife and the baseball bat in his hands. Alvarez was lying on the couch in the living room. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just
chilling.
Just chilling during this violent attack?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
When Jose walked in, Gallardo hit him in the face twice with the bat. He then stomped on Jose's face and choked him. Gallardo then began to wrap him up with duct tape. Jose regained consciousness and struggled with Gallardo.
Alvarez then hit him with the bat. Gallardo asked Alvarez to give him a knife that was on a table in the living room. Alvarez went and got the knife and handed it to Gallardo. He then stabbed Jose in the back and the chest 3 or 4 times. After Jose died, Alvarez and Gallardo wrapped his body in a blanket.
When asked why he did it, Gallardo told detectives, quote, "She wanted to be with me. That's why we did this, because we wanted to be with each other, together," unquote.
Oh, taking We Go Together now to a really dangerous level.
Yeah.
So police allowed the couple to talk alone in a room with a hidden camera. During this time, Alvarez directed Gallardo to sit next to her and then began to tell him how to handle the interviews. This gave investigators the impression that Alvarez was actually the one in charge.
After the interviews, Gallardo took deputies to places associated with the murders, such as where he discarded the baseball bat, the field where they buried Jose, and the yard of the abandoned house where they had buried Gloria.
On the day Alvarez and Gallardo were interviewed, homicide detectives searched Alvarez's house for evidence. They found bloodstains on the floor, on a couch, and on a mop. They also found a backpack, empty jewelry boxes, a Halloween mask, and Halloween party supplies. So now let's get into the trial. Hit it, Beth!
Alvarez's trial was 2 weeks long. She did not face the death penalty because she was 15 at the time of the murders. Prosecutors depicted Alvarez as a greedy and manipulative teen. Gloria and Jose's families vehemently denied Alvarez's accusations of physical and sexual abuse.
Alvarez alleged that Gallardo came up with the idea to kill her mother and her stepfather. She testified that despite the conduct of her parents, she did not want them killed, did not want Gallardo to kill them, and did not want to help encourage Gallardo to kill them.
Alvarez insisted that she'd had little control over what had happened. She told jurors that Gallardo, then 16, had previously threatened her with a knife and a gun, and that she feared he might hurt her if she tried to stop him.
Alvarez testified that Gallardo had a history of aggression and violence toward her. Gallardo, she said, would hit her, choke her, pull her hair, and call her names. About a month before the killings, Gallardo put a knife to Alvarez's throat during an argument.
On another occasion, Gallardo brought a gun to school and put it to her head. Gallardo once made Alvarez swallow some pills, which made her feel weird. He then had sex with her, and because of the drugs, she, quote, couldn't do anything about it, unquote.
The notebook in which she had written various incriminating things was admitted as evidence. But Alvarez claimed that she felt powerless to stop Gallardo, and the notes she wrote were not to encourage her boyfriend, but that if he was going to do it, she hoped he would commit the murders out of her sight.
Deputy District Attorney Kristen Trutanich zeroed in on Alvarez's admission that she had kicked away a knife that dropped from her stepfather's pocket as her boyfriend ambushed him with a baseball bat. The prosecutor also noted that Alvarez admitted handing Gallardo a kitchen knife, which he used to stab Jose 11 times.
Hey, podcast listeners, I'm Paul Brandis introducing my podcast, Countdown to Dallas. It's a fascinating, in-depth look at the seemingly unconnected events that led to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It's based on my book of the same title. In that book and in this podcast, I go all the way back to 1939, when Lee Harvey Oswald was born into a troubled and dysfunctional family. I'll follow his transient and often violent teenage years and young adulthood, painting a fuller picture of the man who would later become Kennedy's killer. I also take a look at events unfolding in that era, like Cuba and Vietnam, and I'll unpack the conspiracy theories too, not one of which has ever been conclusively proven. Subscribe to Countdown to Dallas at evergreenpodcasts.com or your favorite listening app, October 31st.
After deliberating about 3 hours, the jurors found her guilty of first-degree murder in both killings. They also found the special circumstances of lying in wait and multiple murders. Outside court, some members of the panel said that they believed Alvarez plotted and actively participated in the slayings. One juror said, quote, I thought she was the mastermind, unquote.
In a separate trial, Gallardo was tried as an adult. He was also found guilty. Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Ricardo R. Ocampo found that the murders committed by Alvarez and Gallardo were vicious and sophisticated attacks. Saying that he still hadn't seen remorse, Ocampo ruled that the maximum sentences of life in prison should be imposed.
It's interesting that he was tried as an adult and she was not.
I'm not sure. I had read somewhere that they were both tried as adults, but I don't know 100%.
Okay. I was just thinking it wouldn't be weird if they both were.
Yeah.
Because they're brown kids.
Right.
Brown teenagers who did something, heinous.
Yeah.
But not everybody who's 16 in this country gets tried as an adult. So the court sentenced Alvarez to 2 consecutive terms of 25 years to life, plus 1 consecutive year for the weapon enhancement, for a total term of 51 years to life. Alvarez will be eligible for parole after 51 years.
The court sentenced Gallardo to life without the possibility of parole. Gallardo would not be eligible because of a law mandating tougher sentences for people older than 16 convicted of murder. A recent state law, however, allows for a sentence reduction after 15 years served. So
there's that.
There's that.
So now let's get into where are they now? Well, as far as we can tell, both Gallardo and Alvarez are still incarcerated. We do not know what happened to Diana, but we do hope that she is okay. And as we wrap up the case, we just want to remember there were 2 murder victims, Gloria Villalta and Jose Lara, and that this true crime case was true for somebody, including the victims, everybody involved, everybody left behind, as well as the community. So we're going to get into what we think about the case, our spicy hot takes. You go first, Beth.
Okay, so this one was pretty disturbing.
Aha!
For 2 people so young to commit these murders of parents.
Yeah.
And then drive around with the mom's body in the back of the car.
Yeah.
That seems pretty callous.
Yes, it does.
And then planning the Halloween party and all that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm also confused about where the truth is. Was Gallardo actually abusive? Or was Alvarez manipulative? Both? I don't know. But these were also 2 young people with cognitive issues. They were both in special education. And like we talked about, I don't know if they truly understood the consequences of their actions.
Yeah.
And they obviously, they really did not function very well. I mean, they planned out these murders and everything, and then they went shopping for Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
But the house was a total wreck.
Yeah.
And they dumped the cars. Like, what are they going to do? Like, what's the plan here?
Yeah.
They had no plan, really.
Yeah, no, they had no plan. This case reminded me of several others. But before I get into that, so much, young love can be so destructive.
Yeah.
And they really just went too far. And I also think we don't know if what Cynthia has said about how her stepfather abused her and the things that her mother did to her are
we don't know if that's true.
Like, they haven't been corroborated.
Right.
That's what
and
I'll say.
One of the things that I noticed in the story, well, I think Cynthia probably did exaggerate. There may have been things that happened. I think her sister Diana said that her mom did hit her with a belt sometimes for discipline. And Cynthia said that her mom made her do like basically everything. Like, she was a slave at home.
Yeah.
Doing the cooking and the cleaning and taking care of her mother and everything. But when they're describing the murders, the mom is cleaning and cooking.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
also, that's the existence of every teenage girl with immigrant parents. Yeah. You have to do
You need to do some work around the house. Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's interesting. So if what she says is true, then I think that you can say that she may have been a victim in other ways, certainly failed by the school system. I think failed by the justice system. I don't think she should have been tried as an adult, given the mitigating circumstances. Yeah, neither should Gallardo. Shouldn't have either. I think that, to your point about was she manipulative or was it abuse? I think a little bit of everything could be true in this case.
Yep. One doesn't negate the other.
Absolutely. But I mean, the glaring thing is how short-sighted and their lack of emotional maturity was. It's so glaring.
Yeah.
By given everything that Beth said. And these murders were really, really brutal and horrible.
Terrible.
And these are the cases it reminded me of. Gypsy Rose vibes.
Right.
Because
the boyfriend,
in Gypsy Rose's case, the boyfriend, an abusive parent, eliminating the thing that is causing these young people trouble. And young people, I mean, how many times, do you remember being like 16 and being like, my life is over.
Yes.
I'm just going to die.
Yes, I do.
And at that age,
so much
it's
drama.
Like your window, your sample size of life is so small that, you might, I mean, it makes total sense. It's probably not going to get better. I might as well, die or kill my parents or something like that. But that's just, I think, the short-sightedness of youth. You don't have the advantage of having a larger sample size of time and experiences to know there is a way out.
Yeah.
That doesn't involve death. But it also kind of reminded me of the Menendez brothers because they had this, well, from what we understand, I guess, about the case, they had this plan to kill their parents because their parents, they said, were harming them or not doing anything about the harm that the dad was doing. So they killed them. So it just kind of reminded me of that. I see a lot. I'm seeing a lot of Venn diagrams in my true crime world these days.
And we know you love Venn diagrams.
I love a Venn diagram. Woo! So I didn't actually draw one for this case, but they're up here in my mind. Visualizations of all the ways that these cases intersect. And then if we are to believe what Cynthia says, that she wasn't loved in the way that she felt her parents should have, and then this boyfriend comes along and gives it to her. Again, the short-sightedness of youth. That's not going to be the only man around, you know what I mean? But you wouldn't know that if suddenly this person is showing me the love that I've always wanted.
Right.
This is it.
Yeah.
This, you know what I mean? And I just, again, the Ute. And it is just a very disturbing case. And it makes me sad to think about there's not one winner in this case. Nobody won. Everybody is lost and worse off.
Yeah.
So it's just a sad case.
It is.
All right. Now it's time to get into the How Not to Get Murdered section of our show.
All right.
If you love true crime and you don't want to die, here's a tip for you.
I laugh every time.
This is funny, girl.
This segment is not intended to be victim blaming. We thought of this segment because I read somewhere that a lot of people listen to true crime because they want to know what they can do to be safer. This is not meant to blame the victims. It's just learning from other people's experiences.
Okay, so thinking about this case and how the solution for these young people in this case and the Venn diagram of cases I talked about earlier, death doesn't have to be the solution to your problems. And I just wanted to offer up a resource because I know that being the Ute these days sounds like
it's rough.
It's very rough challenge. So if for any of us who have young people in our lives, we see them struggling, you may just want to hand a young person the name of this organization, NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness. And now they have a teen and young adult helpline. This is nationwide. Wow. It's free for any teens or young adults.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So this helpline, it's nationwide peer support service providing information, resource referrals, and support for teens and young adults. They have specialists who are young people who understand the stuff young people have been through. They've been through their own stuff, and they're experienced and well-trained. So you can reach out by phone, text, or chat. To text FRIEND to 62640. They'll get you hooked up with a helpline right away.
Nice.
To chat, just go to NAMI.org and go to the bottom of the page and those comic book speaking bubbles. Click on that to chat. Or you can call 800-950-NAMI to talk to somebody. That's 800-950-6264.
Nice.
So check out NAMI and share it with the young people in your life that you love.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You got it. Anything to add?
Nope.
Okay, now it is shout out time.
Woo!
Where we shout out any content by or about people of color, anybody who's marginalized, or any true crime goodies.
Nice.
I don't know if this is really a true crime goodie. It's a series on Netflix, and the cast was, for what it was, a diverse cast. It's called Penelope, and it's on Netflix, about a 16-year-old girl who feels alienated in like this cyber world. Everybody's on their phones and, you know, nobody's talking to each other. And she feels alienated and disconnected in this teenage world that she lives in. So she decides to alienate herself and go off the grid. And it's all about what she learns along the way, strengths, tribulations that she goes through, and her journey. I binged it in a day this weekend.
It sounds really good.
I really loved it. And the main character is a white girl, so she does white girl things, and you know, you can, but it's not
the
completely
cast is
without
diverse.
The cast is pretty diverse.
Okay.
And I really appreciated the way they wrote this young female character and the people around her. The last thing I want to shout out is a podcast called Candyman, the true story behind the bathroom mirror murder. Did you know Candyman is based on a true story?
Tell me about this.
Yes. So Candyman was based on a true story. The projects that were in the movie, the old movie from like the 90s, those projects, a real black woman was killed.
What?
People came in through the adjacent apartment, cut out her bathroom mirror, got into her apartment and killed her. And
Holy
she was
shit.
like, she could hear them for like a long time. She
Like
kept
behind
calling
the
911.
mirror?
Yeah, somebody's
my
behind my
God.
mirror. And nobody believed her. So she was in her apartment dead for a while.
Wow. That's crazy.
It is a true story. And so I'm only on episode 1, but I love it. You know,
Wow.
I love a good,
Yeah.
when it's another Venn diagram where the true crime story and the horror movie meet. Woo! Okay, what do you got?
I just wanted to shout out The Penguin. Are you watching it?
No.
It's on Max.
Yes. But I felt like it was slow to start. Tell me what, did you finish
I thought it was great. No, well, it's not done yet. Episodes are coming out every Sunday. One of the main characters is a black boy, and it's his story that I'm more interested in, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Penguin on Max. Well, now that you've recommended it, I'm going to give it another try.
Give it a shot. Yeah.
Yes. So those shout outs to recap are Penelope on Netflix, a podcast wherever you get your podcasts called Candyman, the true story behind the bathroom mirror murder, and The Penguin on Max, HBO Max. And that's it.
Yep. Nothing in the chat, so
Nothing in
we're
the
done.
chat. All right, y'all. If there is anybody out there, we just want to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. We hope you at least got to be distracted from your internet social media feed and from any election nonsense that may be coming your way. Thanks for spending your distraction time with us. We love you. Beth, where can the people find us?
Our website is fruitloopspod.com, and we use Fruit Loops Pod for all of our social media. The footnotes for each episode can be found on our website. Plus, check it out for the different ways that you can support the show. Also, join us on Patreon, where we have literally hundreds of hours of bonus content. You can also support us by supporting our sponsors or by giving us a 5-star review.
5 stars only, please.
Also, don't forget to subscribe.
That's right. Now, listen close. This is a weekly podcast, and new episodes drop every Thursday. So until next time, look alive, y'all. It's crazy out there. okay, the city of Compton. A song came and then it went. The city of Compton was Compton. It's a drop. I don't know what it's from, but anyway.
Local gangster rap sounds.
I was just looking at the words waiting for you to say them.
You're just salivating.
She did it. I win. Straight out of Compton, a crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube. Anyway.
Right.
Quick sip. Did I tell you about my transitions lenses?
I don't remember. Maybe, did you have them when you were in London?
No.
No.
Because they were so expensive. I didn't want to risk losing them overseas. But I used to think transition lenses were so corny. But
but now you
love
them?
Now that I'm 40, now that I'm a woman of a particular age, transition lenses just make so much sense.
So Minnie has them too, and she was talking them up when I was with her in California.
Yeah. I go outside and I'm just like, transitions lenses. And by the time my song is done, sunglasses on.
I think I'm going to have to get some.
It. I'm telling you, it's a game changer. Let's see if I can find it and not play the wrong one. Because I do that every now and then. Mother Nature, she wins every time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's undefeated.
Yeah, don't fuck with Mother Nature.
No, ma'am.
It's, sorry. I cut something out of there, and now I don't know what it was supposed to say.
Oh, I wonder.
Let me start over.
Transitions lenses. We should do a commercial for them.
We should do a commercial for lots of things.
I know. I could write all the jingles.
Make the bag.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we scoot along?
Sure. I'm going to stop the recording, Beth, get this audio in the drive. You get some sleep, my friend.
Okay, you too.
Okay, love
all
you.
Right.
Also, Minnie, thanks for editing our show every week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
3 a.m., the comedy horror podcast that holds weekly gatherings around the campfire. Let me tell you what you're going to get. You're going to hear stories about demonic possessions, prison stabbings, skinwalkers, glitches in the Matrix, cult leaders, missing 411, night marchers, Operation Paperclip, Mesopotamian devil worship, and so many monsters it'll give Kanye West a runaway for his money. Pop and meme culture also aren't off topic. A camp where laughs and scares are constantly competing for first place. We're just a group of friends, trying to bust each other's balls, find the best stories, and expand the circle in the process. 3 a.m., the comedy horror podcast not for the faint or fragile of heart. Let's go.
Hello, this is Gary Chahot welcoming you to check out the French History Podcast. Our main show covers the history of France from the first humans until present. If you liked Mike Duncan's The History of Rome and wanted a similar program covering the land of beauty, culture, and love, we are exactly that. We also host world-renowned scholars who have delivered guest episodes on their specialties, including 18th century pirates, revolutionary booksellers in 20th century Paris, the special friendship between the Marquis de Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson, and numerous others. Learn what you love and listen to the French History Podcast today.